We're working on my car, hoping to get it done. It's a pretty warm day. I'm going to get something to drink. Ran into, I don't feel like crossing the crosswalk at the moment. Well, I got it cleaned up down there by the Sinclair.
Man, even the bikers don't have fucking class in this motherfucker. Motherfucker cut me off. I should have been letting it go. This fucking biker and this fat fucking bitch. Usually they let me go. They'll stop the whole fucking pack to let me cross the street.
Well, you had the walk signal. I was gonna cross, but I saw you coming and I realized this was shade, and I went, I need to sit down for a minute. It's friggin' hot.
Yeah, I just got done eating. I'm gonna smoke a bowl. If you want to come sit by the trees here and smoke one.
No, I gotta keep my head straight so I can work on my car. I gotta get something cold to drink so I can keep my head from getting too messed up from dehydration.
I hear you. It's fucking
Yeah, of course you do. You got a gallon of water with you.
Well, that's for them.
Ah.
I drink Sprite and shit that will dehydrate me with
And see, we're not that lucky, are we? You're still here. You don't have the diabetes. You're not having to... Well, that's a good thing. You don't have to pay for the medications for that. Oh, my God.
Well, yeah, I'm not costing these motherfuckers any money from being sick and disabled.
Screw you. No, you're all right. Also, I got this bag of garbage I'm going to toss. But yeah,
that's why that's one of the reasons they released coronavirus, was to get rid of the people that are on fucking... that the insurance companies got to keep paying for. They wanted to dwindle that down.
Well, that might be it. I don't know. I don't
well,
think
it has to do with money. Because if it had to do with...
Well, it all has to do with money, but whether or not they're doing crazy shit like that, or whether they're just inept at their fucking jobs, it could probably be their inept.
It attack the immune system, and anyone with a compromised immune system would die from it. So therefore, they were trying to get rid of the people.
But if that actually worked, we wouldn't have any old fucking redneck racists around anymore. They'd all died of coronavirus from being old people.
Well, they protected them. Well, not in New York. They didn't protect the nursing homes in New York, but they did everywhere else.
Well, hopefully they'll let me cross the road.
Just skip across. They'll all stop and watch.
That dude almost ran you over. Are you kidding me?
They do that, though. They like to try to hit me and my dogs. It's like...
It's my turn to cross. Thank you for not hitting me, but white man on the sign says I can walk. The dog says I get to walk. Christ. Not pleasant. What was that, 4 or 5 cars that drove by? And so, of course, had the camera pointing at me like an egomaniac. Jesus, that's not the brightest thing I've done all week, is it? Anyway, I guess I'm going to go to the Shell station and get something to drink and then head up to my car. Yeah, there's definitely some characters out here. And of course, just like everywhere in America, the meth problem is everywhere. It's in your houses, it's on the streets. Rich people, poor people, it don't make any difference. It's the go-to drug for get me some. Perverts love that shit. So of course, if you want to stay away from them kind of folks, not messing with meth would probably be a good start. There's a reason they're feeding it to you for free. Well, it ain't gonna be free for long. People got expectations. And that's something that's cheap. A lot cheaper than trying to get a woman all strung out on cocaine in the 80s. That was expensive. That's part of what makes the drug trade as well as the human trafficking trade so easy for these criminals. They can afford to go out and actually import somebody who was stolen from somewhere else who's already ready-made for the job. They get a woman who's usually an older prostitute, or one who's been beaten up enough times that she's not likely to fetch very much money, and she administers the drugs to the girls, and they basically keep them on a regimen and then take them off for a day or two and make those girls go through that pain, go through the need for those drugs. Do that for about 2 days, they'll do whatever you want. There's a lot of women who have experienced this, and their stories are all very similar, but we're ignoring the victims. The victims end up out here on the streets. You guys want to talk about how horrible it is, but you don't want to do anything about any of this. Why are the victims the ones out on the streets? Oftentimes it comes down to the mentally ill tag. It comes down to people pretending that you must be schizophrenic. For a lot of these people out here on drugs, none of these drugs were their gateway drug. Their gateway drug was abuse. You know, it sucks bad enough being abused. It sucks worse when your family doesn't care. That's what ends up with the cutting. When somebody loves themselves and they want to live, they just want that stuff to stop. Well, that's at the point where they go, you know what? I got to make a stand at some point somewhere. And of course, the family throws them away and keeps the child molester. That's where the severe drug use usually kicks in. Oftentimes you end up with something like that happening around the same time you end up with an injury that, you know, you think to yourself, I'm young, I'm invincible. Holy shit, that was expensive. You can't afford it, and of course, you and your family aren't getting along for good reason, but you're the bad guy, aren't you? I was just speaking with 2 firefighters. They're regional firefighters as well as seasonal firefighters elsewhere. And they get messed with by the cops all the time. Of course, they're not rich. They're pretty much broke folk. They just live for service and making the world a better place. And you wouldn't think those guys get messed with by the police. Think super troopers, except that one of those groups is not law enforcement, so all they can do is take it. That's not saying all firefighters are like that, but in some of these cases, yeah, these guys are not rich. They don't come from rich families. They basically go around and try to do good deeds for people, and that's what's in their heart. That's what the Lord called them to do, however you want to say it. Of course, just like in a lot of your houses, you can't escape people's addictions. If you got a daughter who lives with you and she's addicted to heroin, or you got a husband who lives with you and he's addicted to meth, or you got a wife that lives with you and she's addicted to alcohol, those are all very tough to overcome. And you love that person. When they do something messed up, you want to cover their ass. You know, you love them. Sure, they did wrong, but you don't want them to get in trouble. It's your loved one. Unfortunately, that results in that person never changing their behaviors because you're always covering their ass. When they're victimizing disabled people because they know they can get away with it and they're drunk, and that makes it okay. No, it doesn't. That doesn't make it okay. That does not need to be something that is allowed to happen. Anyway, I believe in doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do, but I don't always know what the right thing to do is. Sometimes all I know is that I have to do something. Speaking out seems the right thing to do, only because it shows the truth. There are a few people out here who do drugs who are also useful. They try to be handy and they try to, well, keep the place better than it was when they showed up. They believe in packing out what they brought in. And I realize there's about 4 or 5 different people around here that are doing that. Not necessarily the drugs, but the picking up of the garbage. My problem isn't with the druggies themselves, it's with what they do. And it depends on where and who. Here with the laws, well, those druggies aren't in that constant state of fear and panic that pushes them to do scary things. I mean, sure, they're afraid of getting messed with by the cops, but they're not afraid that they'll get put in prison for 20 years because somebody told on them for doing drugs. So, of course, they try to do it in the privacy of, well, they're still stuck in public, of course, so it's still illegal. But they try to do it in the privacy of their own grove of trees, their own tents, their own bench away from wherever, their own shady tree. They try to do it out of the public eye, and they do indeed pack out what they bring in. It's not like Washington State. In Washington State, you get in a lot of trouble just for having the needle. So people, when they're done using it, they'll just drop the needle and leave it there. Washington State is nasty, and that's one end of the state to the other now. It was about 93 that all the heroin really pushed through there, and it took a whole other decade for that heroin to resurface itself heavy in Colorado, especially in Boulder. It's tough stuff to get rid of. Now, if people can manage their addictions, they don't go out trying to steal from you to get it if it's cheap enough. They don't go trying to steal from you to get it when they, well, you're not going to find them tweaking in your garage. You're not going to find them, you get the little 16 or 17-year-old tweaker. He's already been doing it for a few years. And you get in your garage one day and you realize that not only has somebody been smoking some fucked up shit in there, they broke a bunch of your light bulbs. Not pleasant. Sometimes they're still in there. All because they're not allowed to do those drugs at mom and dad's house. That's the scariest ones. You already know where they're headed, and it's not going to take them long to get there. You want to help them out. And really, the right thing to do is to help them out. But you guys think all these government programs are helping them out. No, they're not. Only if you have family who cares. Only if you have someone who goes in with you. When you're on the streets, it's inevitable you're going to get called mentally ill. People are going to give you the crazy treatment. Ugh. You don't matter. Your voice doesn't matter. Not if you're a firefighter, not if you're an EMT. And yes, we've had EMTs out here too. Mobley, that's Steve McMillian. He was homeless in Boulder for a lot of years. He was an EMT. We've had a few that are firefighters. And yeah, some of them are a bit of a crazy bunch, but they're alright. It's kind of like them bikers. All y'all want to be afraid of all these big Billy badass bikers because they're all criminals. No, the criminals are the ones with the 1% patch. If it says 1% ER on a diamond-shaped patch, not like a diamond like the Superman symbol, but a diamond like on a pack of cards. And it'll have the 1% symbol. That's a criminal. That is somebody who is stating loud and proud that they're a criminal. They're stating loud and proud that they are that 1% of bikers, 1%, who are the criminal element. So, that's how you can tell them from just a regular club member or a casual rider. Some of those are actually just motorcycle clubs. Most of them are just motorcycle clubs, but they happen to have people within those clubs that end up being criminals. Let's say you have a ham radio. I just saw a bunch of old guys down there on my walk here that were messing around with ham radios, and I had to ask them about them. I said, don't they have steak radios? There was a point to that, but I'm not sure what it was. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna get something to drink. There's a bunch of silver and white vehicles in front of me, so sitting here it's not a good thing. I mean, they're pretty bright. I'm not sure if you can tell. So I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna see if I brought my sunglasses with me. I am getting a little bit of a headache, but not too bad. Just a change in barometric pressure. The wind is cool now. It's just the sun is too bright. And I think it's also where I'm sitting. We'll see if I can open my eyes over here. Oh yeah. Anyway, it's good to be with you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper, and no victim left behind.